The last hope of the stars. The stars were dying. Not in the natural way, the slow burn of billions of years followed by expansion or collapse. These deaths were sudden, violent, and purposeful. Across the galaxy, suns flickered and went dark, as if someone had simply switched them off. Where once brilliant civilizations had thrived for millennia, now only cold void remained. The entity responsible had no name of its own. The surviving species called it the convergence, a sentient cloud of quantum-entangled energy that consumed consciousness itself. It didn't destroy worlds for resources or territory. It harvested the very thoughts of sentient beings, growing stronger with each civilization it absorbed. The Meridians were the first to fall. Their crystal cities, technological marvels that had stood for 50,000 years, crumbled in a single rotation as the convergence enveloped their world. 12 billion minds were silenced simultaneously, their collective knowledge and experience feeding the hungry void. The Kelvary Alliance was next. Their distributed consciousness network, spanning 27 worlds and believed impenetrable, was infiltrated and turned against them. The greatest telepathic species in the known universe screamed as one and then went silent. One by one, the most powerful civilizations fell. The militant Zarkesh, whose armadas had conquered half the Orion Arm, launched their entire fleet against the convergence. Their warships, each capable of reducing a planet to ash, disappeared into the darkness without firing a single shot. The pattern was clear. The more advanced the civilization, the more quickly it fell. The more connected its communications, the more vulnerable it became. The more powerful its weapons, the more easily they were turned against their creators. In a distant spiral arm, on the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, humans went about their daily lives, blissfully unaware of the cosmic horror slowly making its way toward them. Dr. Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching Earth rotate below her. At 45, she had spent nearly half her life studying the stars, searching for signs of intelligent life. Now, as director of SETI's Quantum Communication Initiative, she was about to witness humanity's greatest discovery and its most terrible warning. Signal confirmed, Director. Lieutenant Commander Jackson's voice came through her earpiece. Whatever it is, it's decelerating toward Earth orbit. Definitely artificial, and definitely not one of ours. Elena's heart raced. ETA. 90 minutes. NASA and ESA are already tracking it. Current trajectory puts it in geosynchronous orbit over the South Pacific. After decades of searching, first contact was happening on her watch. But instead of the jubilation she had always imagined, Elena felt only a creeping sense of dread. Something about the approaching vessel's erratic movement pattern suggested not exploration but desperation. "I want a secure channel to the Security Council the moment we have visual confirmation," she said. Exactly 87 minutes later, Elena stood before the hastily assembled representatives of Earth's major powers. The holographic displays showed multiple angles of the alien vessel now in orbit. It was unlike anything human engineers could have conceived. A crystalline structure that seemed to shimmer between states of matter, parts of it turning transparent then opaque in rhythmic pulses. "It's broadcasting on multiple frequencies," Elena explained. "The message repeats in what we believe are 17 different languages, none of them human." "Can we decode it?" asked the American president. "We don't need to," Elena replied, nodding to her team. "They've already begun transmitting in English." The room fell silent as the alien message played. "People of Earth, this is the last remnant of the Phloxian Alliance. We have traveled through 17 systems, fleeing the entity your translation might call the convergence. It has consumed worlds beyond counting. We detected your broadcasts. You remain untouched only because your technology is considered primitive. This will not protect you for long. We bring mourning and perhaps salvation. Your species possesses something unique, something that might yet save us all." The Chinese premier leaned forward, What could we possibly have that advanced alien civilizations don't? Helena shook her head. I don't know, but I suggest we find out. The meeting with the Phloxian delegates took place in a hastily constructed facility in Antarctica, far from population centers. Helena led the human scientific team, accompanied by military representatives from 7 nations. What they learned changed everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe. The alien delegation consisted of 3 distinct species, the last survivors of a coalition that once spanned hundreds of worlds. Their leader, who called himself San, resembled something between an octopus and a crystalline tree. His translator rendered his vibrating appendages into perfect English. Your minds are different, San explained, projecting images of human brain activity alongside alien neural patterns. All advanced species eventually develop similar thought structures: efficient, logical, predictable. The convergence exploits this predictability, creating quantum entanglements with neural networks, then corrupting and consuming them. But humans are different, General Williams asked skeptically. Profoundly so, confirmed a second alien, a floating orb of shimmering gas named Ilios. Your neural patterns contain what we can only describe as quantum noise, random fluctuations that should be impossible. The third alien, a humanoid with iridescent skin called Trev, stepped forward. Your species dreams, creates art, believes in things without evidence, makes intuitive leaps, all inefficient from an evolutionary perspective, yet you thrive. Elena understood first. You're saying our irrationality protects us. Precisely, San confirmed. The convergence cannot predict or entangle with what does not follow logical patterns, but it is coming nonetheless. Your technology is advancing rapidly. Soon you will cross the threshold that makes you visible to it. How long do we have? Elena asked. Perhaps one of your Earth years, Trev replied. We bring technology that might help, but it must be integrated with your unique neural characteristics. General Williams stood straighter. So what exactly are you proposing? San's appendages shimmered with an emotion the humans couldn't read. A symbiosis. Our technology, your minds. Together, we might create the one thing the convergence cannot absorb: true unpredictability. The next 6 months transformed Earth. Ancient rivalries were set aside as humanity united against an existential threat. The Unified Defense Initiative was formed, with research centers established on every continent. Elena found herself named Global Science Director, coordinating the most ambitious research program in human history. The Phloxian technology was centuries beyond Earth's capabilities, but as the aliens had predicted, it worked differently, often unpredictably, when interfaced with human operators. Quantum computers that functioned flawlessly for the aliens produced seemingly random results for humans, until researchers discovered these errors actually formed complex patterns previously unknown to either species. Breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Mikio Tanaka, a Japanese neuroscientist, discovered that human brains synchronized in strange ways when connected through the alien technology. Most intriguingly, this synchronicity effect grew stronger with personal connections, family members, close friends, lovers, generating neural patterns that were simultaneously highly organized and completely unpredictable. It's like jazz, Elena explained to the UDI leadership. Each musician follows a structure, but improvises within it. The result is something no single mind could create, yet strangely coherent. Can we weaponize it? General Williams asked bluntly. Zan, now a permanent member of the Leadership Council, responded. The convergence attacks consciousness itself. This human synchronicity might be the first true defense, a consciousness it cannot predict or corrupt. The first test of the synchronized defense system came sooner than anyone expected. A probe from the convergence entered the solar system, moving faster than should have been possible. It bypassed the outer planets within hours. It's scanning, Trev warned, monitoring alien equipment, testing our defenses, measuring our development. Elena made the call. Activate Synchronicity Network Alpha. Across the globe, 10,000 volunteers, each connected to at least 3 others by deep personal bonds, were linked through a neural interface derived from Floxian technology. Their collective consciousness created a quantum field unlike anything seen before. The probe halted its advance. For 17 agonizing minutes, it hovered beyond Mars' orbit, its energy patterns fluctuating wildly. Then, without warning, it retreated, accelerating back toward deep space. In the UDI command center, cheers erupted. Even the alien's appendages vibrated with what humans now recognized as their expression of joy. It worked. Elena breathed, hardly believing it. It couldn't process what we created. But San's translator conveyed a more somber tone. No, it retreated to report. What you've done is unprecedented. A defense the Convergence has never encountered. But now it knows we are here, and it will return with its full consciousness. General Williams turned to the alien. How long do we have? 30 of your days, perhaps less. Elena looked at the global map showing the 10,000 synchronized minds that had just saved them. Then we need more minds. Many more. And we need them now. The race to save not just humanity, but consciousness itself throughout the galaxy had only just begun. The symphony of minds. The Convergence returned as promised, but not as expected. There was no armada of ships, no energy weapons, no conventional attack. Instead, on a quiet Tuesday morning, every electronic device on Earth simultaneously displayed the same image, a shifting pattern of light that seemed to look back at the viewer. Those who stared too long reported feeling their thoughts being tested, as if something vast and ancient was sorting through their minds like a predator sampling prey. In orbit, the Floxian vessel's systems began to fail one by one as the Convergence probed their defenses. San and the surviving aliens retreated to the Antarctic facility, their last safe haven protected by the experimental human synchronicity field. It's testing us, Elena told the emergency session of the UDI Council. Learning our responses. Every conventional defense we deploy gives it more information. General Williams slammed his fist on the table. We have 30,000 minds linked in the synchronicity network now. Why isn't it working like before? Scale, Trev explained, his iridescent skin pulsing with stress patterns. The probe was merely a fragment of consciousness. This is the full entity. Imagine the difference between a single cell and an entire organism. Dr. Tanaka's hologram joined the conversation from Tokyo. The neural synchronization is holding, but there's too much variance. Each small network creates its own pattern, but they don't harmonize at scale. Elena stared at the global map, watching clusters of synchronized minds glowing across continents, each powerful, but isolated from the others. We need a conductor, she whispered, then louder. We need a conductor. Like an orchestra, each section playing its part, but guided by a unifying vision. San's appendages stilled. Such a mind would need to withstand the full attention of the Convergence. No individual consciousness could survive that scrutiny. Not one mind. Elena countered. A meta-mind. A synchronicity of synchronicities. What followed was the most ambitious neural experiment in human history. From the Antarctic facility, Elena and Dr. Tanaka designed a cascading synchronicity structure, networks of minds linked to other networks, building into a global consciousness architecture that remained unpredictable at every level. Meanwhile, the Convergence's influence spread. Power grids failed across continents. Communication systems became unreliable, transmitting alien whispers alongside human voices. People reported shared nightmares and momentary episodes of lost time. The entity was mapping humanity's collective consciousness, preparing to consume it. It's found our weakness, Ilios warned, her gaseous form fluctuating anxiously. Humans synchronize naturally through emotional contagion, fear, panic, hatred. It's using these pathways to create predictable patterns. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. not the scientific complex, but the refugee camps where families huddled together, sharing not just fear but compassion, hope, and love. Dr. Jessica Chen, monitoring neural patterns in the Singapore camp, reported an anomaly. These people aren't just resisting the convergence's influence, they are actively pushing it back. Their collective emotional state creates quantum barriers we haven't been able to replicate in the lab. Elena immediately reoriented the global effort. It's not just about random unpredictability. It's about emotional complexity, the uniquely human ability to feel contradictory things simultaneously. Love and fear, hope and despair. The convergence can't process paradox. Within 24 hours, the synchronicity network was reconfigured. Instead of seeking random patterns, it amplified emotional complexity, building on genuine human connections. Families, friends, lovers, and even strangers united by compassion created nodes of consciousness that the convergence couldn't penetrate. The entity reacted violently. Atmospheric disturbances manifested worldwide, swirling vortices of energy that descended from the sky, targeting the largest synchronicity nodes. Wherever they touched down, minds went blank, people falling unconscious as their thoughts were harvested. It's adapting faster than we anticipated, General Williams reported grimly. Moscow and Cairo nodes are down. Beijing is under attack. Elena made the hardest decision of her life. Activate the resonance protocol. Across the globe, 10,000 volunteers, those with the strongest neural connections to others, received the activation signal. Each injected themselves with a compound derived from Floxian biotechnology, designed to amplify their brain's natural quantum states to unprecedented levels. In that moment, the human counterattack began. The resonance protocol created what Dr. Tanaka called quantum echoes, ripples in consciousness that spread outward from each volunteer, disrupting the convergence's hold on human minds. As these ripples intersected, they formed complex interference patterns, a symphony of thought that the entity couldn't predict or control. From the Antarctic Command Center, Elena watched the battle unfold on displays showing neural activity across the planet. Wherever the quantum echoes reached, the convergence's influence receded. People awakened from its control, immediately joining the synchronicity network and strengthening humanity's defense. But the convergence fought back with terrible efficiency. It targeted the resonance volunteers, surrounding them with concentrated fields of energy that threatened to tear their minds apart. One by one, signals from these brave individuals began to flicker and fade. "We're losing them," Elena said, watching the lights on her display dim. "The strain is too much for individual minds to bear." San moved beside her, crystalline appendages trembling. "There is another option. The Floxian collectivity chamber. It could distribute the neural load, protect the volunteers." "But you said human minds couldn't interface directly with Floxian technology," Elena objected. "Not under normal circumstances," San admitted. "But these are not normal circumstances. And these volunteers are no longer quite human. The resonance protocol has changed them." The collectivity chamber, the heart of the Floxian ship, was quickly transported to the Antarctic facility. The surviving volunteers were connected to it, their already enhanced minds merging with alien technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. What emerged was something entirely new, a collective consciousness that retained individual identity, a harmony of minds that created not uniformity but infinite diversity. Through this meta-consciousness, humanity reached out across space itself, directly confronting the convergence in the quantum realm where it existed. The entity recoiled, encountering something it had never faced in millions of years, consuming advanced civilizations, a consciousness as vast as its own, yet operating on principles it couldn't comprehend. Every attempt to predict and entangle with the human Floxian metamind failed, the patterns shifting faster than the convergence could analyze them. For the first time in its ancient existence, the convergence knew fear. The final battle lasted 3 days. The entity threw everything it had against Earth, Reality itself seemed to warp as it manipulated fundamental forces in increasingly desperate attacks. Earthquakes, electromagnetic pulses, gravitational anomalies. The planet shuddered under the onslaught. But with each attack, the human Floxian consciousness adapted, learning the convergence's patterns even as it prevented the entity from learning its own. The meta-mind expanded beyond Earth, reaching into space. Following quantum pathways back to civilizations, the convergence had already consumed. And there, in what everyone had assumed was oblivion, they found something unexpected. Echoes of consciousness, fragments of minds not fully absorbed, preserving the essential patterns of species long thought extinct. "They're still there," Elena whispered, experiencing the discovery through her connection to the meta-mind. Dormant but not destroyed. In that moment, humanity made a choice that would redefine its place in the cosmos. Instead of merely defending Earth, the meta-mind reached out to these consciousness fragments, providing them with the unpredictable quantum patterns that could protect them from the convergence. Across the galaxy, on dead worlds, and in empty space where mighty civilizations had once existed, minds began to reawaken. Not as they were before. They could never be fully restored, but as something new, carrying the echoes of their original selves infused with the unique quantum signatures of human thought. The convergence, suddenly finding itself under attack from within by the very consciousnesses it had consumed, began to fracture. Its once unified entropy field split into countless isolated fragments, each one contained and neutralized by the awakened minds it had tried to destroy. In Antarctica, as the battle reached its climax, the facility's systems overloaded. Emergency protocols activated, disconnecting the volunteers from the collectivity chamber one by one, pulling them back from the meta-consciousness before their individual minds could be lost forever. Elena was the last to disconnect, experiencing the final moments of victory before being pulled back into her singular self. She awoke to find Sand standing over her, his crystalline form glowing with an emotion she now recognized as profound respect. "It is done," the alien said simply. 1 year later, Earth had changed beyond recognition. The integration of Floxian technology with human innovation had accelerated development in every field. The first interstellar vessels were already under construction, designed to reach the nearest stars within months rather than decades. But the greatest change was in humanity's understanding of itself. The experience of the meta-mind had left its mark on everyone who participated, and through them, on human culture as a whole. The knowledge that consciousness could be shared while preserving individuality, that minds could touch without losing their unique perspectives, transformed philosophy, religion, art, and science. In orbit around Earth, a new structure took shape, a vast crystalline sphere designed as both a monument and a meeting place. Representatives from a dozen reawakened civilizations had arrived, each bringing knowledge and perspective thought lost forever. Elena stood in the central chamber of this galactic concord, looking out at the assembly of beings. Some were nearly incomprehensible to human senses, others surprisingly familiar. All had been touched by humanity's unique gift, the unpredictable, paradoxical consciousness that had saved them from oblivion. Sand joined her at the observation window. "The Synarchy of Rigel wishes to establish a permanent embassy on Earth. They believe direct exposure to human thought patterns will help their species recover more quickly." Elena nodded. Approved. "And the Meridian request for neural architects. 20,000 human volunteers have already signed up." Sand confirmed. "Their quantum echoes will help stabilize the reconstructed Meridian consciousness matrix. Below them, Earth shone blue and green in the sunlight, more precious now that they understood how rare such worlds were, not just in their physical composition, but in the unique minds they produced. We were so small, Elena mused. A single species on a single world, convinced we were alone in the universe. And now, Sand finished, you are the foundation upon which the galaxy will rebuild, the consciousness that will prevent the convergence from ever forming again. Around them, the representatives of a grateful galaxy continued their deliberations, planning a future that none of them could have imagined alone, but that all of them could create together. A future born from the most unexpected source, a species that had barely reached its own moon when the greatest threat in galactic history arrived. A species that had saved the stars by embracing its own beautiful, unpredictable nature. Humanity had answered when the galaxy cried out in terror, and the echo of that answer would reshape the cosmos for eons to come.